Hello, people of Earth. This is Tesco with Rip Kenny and Trap Jesus, and you're listening to the Human Music Podcast. Woo!
Human Music Podcast. I like it.
Welcome, humans of Earth. How are you doing? We are the human music. What do we talk about? Music?
Boop, beep, boop.
Podcast?
Boop, beep, boop.
Talk about things and converse about stuff. So welcome to tonight's episode where we're going to converse about other stuff. Let's start with some Clubhouse update because that's related to last
Yo, so right after we filmed last week's episode, Bounce Gang was sponsoring a game show on Clubhouse. We weren't the main sponsor, but we were the second sponsor on the episode. So there's a main sponsor sponsoring the final big prizes, and then there was wild card rounds that we sponsored. And so the people that won the wild card rounds got $50 from Bounce Gang and a year subscription to Gvngaroo Records Music Distribution, unlimited distribution. A prize valued at the huge sum of only $10, which means that if you did not win the game show wildcard round last week, that's okay. Skip 2 Starbucks coffees and you can have music distribution all year over at Gvngaroo Records Music Distribution. So that's bouncegang.com, BOUNCEGVNG.com, and click on the distribution tab. That's what's up. I'm about to be releasing all my shit out there. So, but the game that we sponsored was Black Jeopardy. Yep, just like the awesome sketches on Saturday Night Live. It was Black Jeopardy, all Jeopardy questions and answers based on Black culture, and it was a lot of fun. I showed up to watch, and as the token white person in the room, they decided to call me up to be a contestant as well. So the question I answered in the first round was for 90s TV show themes, and I got it right. It was a theme show for Family Matters, but I forgot to pose my answer in the form of a question.
Oh no.
Right? And they're like, man.
In the Saturday Night Live skit, wasn't there a white dude on there that was like just cleaning up and they were like,
yep, it was Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
I was Tom Hanks, except nothing got derailed when they asked about lives that mattered. So,
You look like Tom Hanks like a tiny bit.
Is it the hair?
No.
Yeah. Definitely the hair. It's the beard.
Something about your face.
I look like Tom Hanks and Jesus.
You look 10% Tom Hanksy. I don't know what it is.
Tom Hanks.
Type in the comment section if you agree with me or if you think I'm whack with that assessment. But
music producers really be coming up with the weirdest terms.
Just come up to me on the street and tell me that you're the captain now.
Get your hi-hats more Tom Hanksy.
Dude, actually though, I don't know if it's something that's been cultivated through working on music or just how my brain works, but like I swear to God, I think more and more associatively as
about Tom Hanks.
Just about Tom Hanks. No, but like I find myself thinking that like this is like this, even if it's only like 10% like it. Like I see more parallels. And I don't know if that's because like with music, like you're always thinking like, what else could I like? How could I achieve the same result with like a different tool, or like how could I do this?
Yeah, man, that's like, something I always tell people is like there's a definite stage where you know all the creative stuff and that's cool, but you have to stop thinking so much about like technical nerdy producer shit and start thinking more creatively and associatively. And that's
to put it in Tom Hanks terms, think of the big picture.
The big box of chocolates, you mean?
Honestly, like there's no wrong way. There's no just to like expand on that point though, there's also no wrong way to think associatively, which is the best part. And like whether you're layering or making folders for your sample pack or whatever, and you want to do something like technical, like I don't know, sharp transienty sounds or whatever, or you're just like, all of these sound like ice, all of these sound like grass, or this reminds me of patience, or some
I love
weird
that shit,
abstract
but I
thing.
definitely don't do that shit.
Man, that is the way. Even like if you're struggling to give your song, oh man. So this is a whole tangent, right? It's like, and I don't want to get too deep down the rabbit hole because
I've told about 9% of the Black Jeopardy story, but okay.
Oh shit!
That was even though I got the question wrong and I got kicked out. It is far from the end of the awesomeness of this story. But
sorry, when the ADD kicks in, I'll spin back to that. I'm gonna write that down because that's an important point. But associative thinking, key.
So check this out. They decided for some reason to let me back in, and they called me back up on the stage in Clubhouse. And I was like, wait, is this white privilege? And they were like, oh shit, you're right. And they kicked me back off the stage. And I was like, all right, cool, that makes sense. And then when it came time for Final Jeopardy, they brought me back on stage and like, fuck it, we changed our mind again. I'm like, all right, cool, I'm not mad at it, that's fine. And then we had a wild card, but it was between me and two other people to see if we could get into the final Jeopardy because we were tied for kind of like the lowest amount of points. Mm-hmm. And the question was, what product do Black people say is a cure for almost every ailment? Apparently, the answer was ginger ale. And the thing was, there's this whole part of Clubhouse culture where you change your avatar picture to something else, and then you say PTR, which stands for pull to refresh. So you like pull down on your phone and it refreshes like a web page would. And then your avatar pops up as a new thing. And so you got to change your picture to the product you think is the answer, and it will refresh. The other two people changed their answer to ginger ale, and I changed it to what I thought it was, Tussin, which is like a different brand of Robitussin. It's a cough syrup that I got the answer wrong, but they liked my answer so much and they were laughing so much about it that they decided that I was going to make it to Final Jeopardy.
Look at you.
I know, right? Just white privilege left and right. I'm so sorry. But then we get to the Final Jeopardy, and I chose rap and R&B as the category for 400. And it was, let's see if y'all know this one. What singer actress performed at the 2013 Super Bowl?
I don't know. Janet Jackson.
Mariah Carey, Beyonce. Beyonce, of course it was Beyonce.
And I got it right, which put me in third place, which got me to the like final Jeopardy round. Damn. And then the question was, who played the dad on that show, The Parkers? And I had no idea, so I stayed in third place because I lost the shit out of that. My answer was, Mr. Parker Sr.
Not a bad guess, to be fair.
I mean, it was a throwaway. Luckily,
could have been a worse
I was already in third place, but I won $50. So, hey, shouts out to that. And we got to shout out Gvngaroo Records to a big room full of people, and I got a bunch of followers. So, hey,
hell yeah.
That's what's up.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. And then, so Clubhouse, it's fun. Get on it.
Yeah, get on it.
Yeah.
Reach out. Drop a comment if you want to get in.
Right.
So what's up with Tom Hanks and associative thinking?
Yeah, man.
Is that the entirety of the Clubhouse update?
I mean, I could keep talking, but, I also got a tarot reading. I saw a rapper named Terry
did I.
That I liked was in a tarot room. And I was like listening in, and then I raised my hand to get in line to get a tarot reading. And, it's technically free, but a lot of people put their Cash App name in their bio. And so I used part of my Black Jeopardy winnings to pay for a tarot reading.
Nice.
And it was good. The tarot cards told me I should get more sleep and actually pay attention to my girlfriend last weekend when she came up. And those were both really good advice, because I was looking at the fucking podcast from last week when I was editing it, and god damn, I look tired. I look exhausted in that episode, man.
Yeah, I got a tarot reading too, and it was actually surprisingly accurate.
What was your spread? What did it tell you?
Oh man, I can't remember. It was like a past, present, future thing. Honestly, there were some drinks involved, so I don't remember it fully. But I was like, oh, I've always been curious about these because I thought they were bullshit. And she's like, same, that's why I got it. Yeah, right. And then basically it was just about like past, present, future, about like you're working towards goals and like shit like that.
You guys,
which I don't know. Sorry?
Did you check your horoscope this week?
No.
Yep.
You made sure your astrology was all dialed in with your.
Actually,
my moon was
in the Clubhouse, I got told about an app.
Come on, guys! Tarot readings?
Yeah, bro. I got this app called.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing about it.
Tells me all
this
about
is
my
why.
horoscope.
Hold up. This is why I was curious about them initially, is because I feel like there are some struggles that are just archetypical and like every person goes through, and I feel like those cards aren't necessarily unique to somebody per se, but pulling them out and like just sort of prompting each other, like, has some shit like this one down in your life? No or yes, how about you? Cool. And then like next one or whatever, I think is a very useful tool still, even if you don't believe in like all the spiritual woo shit, because it's topics you wouldn't like normally talk about.
There is value in that line of thinking, in that it makes you think retrospectively about your life in third person and take a view on what you're doing and how your actions are affecting your life in a way that you normally wouldn't think about it, right? So there is value in bringing up topics that might be happening to you and like making you think specifically about that topic and how you might be able to better yourself in that realm. That shit's not like definitive proof on what you're doing, though. I mean, it's like
what's your astrological sign?
Sagittarius.
Oh,
something a Sagittarius would say.
I have no idea, but I'm glad we both yelled that at the same time.
God damn Sagittariuses.
But here's the thing, there's not many environments nowadays where like people are willing and open to talk about that stuff. So at least like and I'm talking fully from the perspective of like you're not buying into it at all. If you still look at it as like a fun spiritual woo-woo thing, it's like you still aren't going to talk about most of those topics regularly with anybody in your life, probably, unless you like have a mentor or you're like going to therapy or something where somebody is like actively cares about prompting you about those stuff.
It is like lightweight therapy. It's like getting you to talk about what you're going. So don't get me wrong. There's benefits, but I draw the line when people are like, this psychic told me my future or predicted X, Y, or Z that happened to me. It's like that whole science of like associative like specificity that you apply to yourself and then say like, yeah, that's like, there's a South Park about it that's really fucking funny, like psychics and shit.
Yeah. Dave Chappelle is not a psychic. He's merely a racist.
Yeah. But like I said, there's benefits. It's funny to me though. So originally we thought Clubhouse was about, potentially a benefit for music producers, but it's more about Jeopardy and tarot readings. Actually, we were wrong.
I mean,
it's even better than we originally thought.
There is so much on there. I mean, the thing is, like, everybody who joins gets a referral, gets an invite, right? And then people who use it a lot get more. Like, I'm on the third one they've given me. Plus, it comes up with people I know that put themselves on the waiting list and is like, hey, do you want to just like invite them in? It won't use up your invite. And so I'm personally responsible for bringing like 5 or 6 people in right now. And so is everybody else. So it's growing exponentially. Like 3 weeks ago when I first got on it, it was my hallway looked hella different. Now, like last night, there was a room that said, sometimes like they have competing rooms. Like people have one room and somebody will start the opposite room. Like there was one that was like, why men deserve the most. And then there was a room right next to it that was why men deserve less. And then that was like 2 nights ago. And then last night there was one that was like, I'd rather be an asshole than stupid, vote Trump. And then another one that was called, I'd rather be stupid than be an asshole, vote Biden. And I was like, yeah, okay, America, stupid assholes, woohoo! But it's like there's everything there. But like I was also in one where it was like talking about like music business success stories. Another one that was like a whole group of audio engineers just like sharing game. Like, there was like part of it was like a little, commiseration session about all the dumbest things artists ask you to do when they're in the booth, and the most clueless artist stories. And some of it was like people who like the dude who engineers for Young Thug every day was like talking about like the mics he chooses and the way it works. Not anymore. This guy I know named Baines. Yeah, Alex. Apparently, Alex has moved on to other ventures. But this guy Baines, who I met at his studio in Burbank, California, a couple years back, that iStandard always used to rent out for their events, and now he's out in Atlanta, working with Young Thug all the time. But there's people in there that had all these, some of them like people I knew from working in various studios around when I travel, and some people that I just met on the app. So, and the way the shit is curated, it's like depending on who you follow, you're going to see whole different sets of rooms. Because it's like if somebody's in the room, it'll put it in your hallway and it'll send you a notification. But back to tarot, because, tangents and all. I feel like kind of like you said, it's like light therapy. It's not necessarily that it's like this is like a fucking necessarily like some future telling anything. But are you familiar with the term like an oracle, and not like in the, mystical, I'm a fucking psychic who lives in a cave type of thing?
Yeah, I've seen it.
But more, yeah, right? There is no spoon. But more like have you ever just like flipped open a book, maybe a book you've already read, and just like see the chapter heading and be like, yeah, that's what I needed to hear today. And you just like random page. Like I did that with The Artist's Way once, and it like fucking told me, it was like, oh my God, I was sharing with the people in the room, like, oh, I was talking about this. And everybody's like, oh shit, yeah, that's perfect for right now. And no matter what page it was, it might have been, but I happened to turn to page exactly this one out of 300 at that moment. And like everybody in the room connected with that sentiment. And so it's like, that's the way I feel about like things like tarot and, even to maybe another extent, like horoscopes, is like, you're the one hearing what these cards are and what they're about. And you're the one having this internal emotion based off the reaction of that card. And if you're, the person's talking to you on the phone or on Clubhouse, or if you're in the room, you're actually the one cutting the deck. And then because of that random spot you cut the deck, now those are the cards getting flipped off the top, those first 3 or 9 or however many cards spread they're giving you. And then you're feeling a type of way and responding to what these and thinking about your life in a certain way that you just caused to happen. Yes, it's a finite number of cards, but it's still like, it was like, oh, this one's the fucking 4 of swords, and it's like a knight with like 1 sword lying on the floor, and the knight's lying on the tomb, and then there's 3 swords above it. And what I'm reading from it is like, you need to get rest right now, because there's some things coming up that if you're not like well rested and having had taken care of yourself, it's like the shit's gonna like come down on your heart, and you're not gonna really be able to like, maybe you'll be taken advantage of, or maybe you'll just like fail and disappoint somebody, or it's hard to tell what it would be specifically for your life. But is that like resonating with you? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking exhausted, and I got a lot of shit always on my plate, and yeah, maybe I should just like take a step back and sleep a couple of nights and be okay getting less done, And then the next one was like, one of them was like the Queen of Pentacles, and it was like, oh yeah, this is, talking about like love and the people who love you and support you, and it's reversed, so it's like they're not feeling maybe that, or they could maybe not feel that you're really, reciprocating enough, and blah, blah, blah. Like, well, shit, like, my girl's coming into town this weekend. I do spend a ton of time working. I haven't seen her in a hot minute. It's like, oh yeah, okay, that probably means that you should like really be attentive when they're there this weekend. And it's like, all right, man, well, regardless of, how real it is, like it connected with me, and it got me thinking in a mind state that was beneficial to me based on how I reacted to hearing that shit. So And then as far as horoscopes go, I heard somebody once said like, oh, what, like where Jupiter is going to like change, you know, who I am when I'm born, or like, you know, how my day is going to go. Like how could something so small, so far away possibly, you know, have any bearing on my life? I'm like, so small. Jupiter's like 900 times the size of Earth, and it pulls the Earth out of its orbit. What are you fucking talking about so small? Granted, I don't put all my faith in the horoscope, but the thinking that the bodies that dwarf the body we live on, that dwarfs us, have absolutely no say, that gravity has no effect on us, I think is kind of silly. So yeah. Balance.
I guess I wonder how much that affects you if you aren't aware of it, though. You know, like is it because we've sort of come up with these like rituals and ways of thinking and understanding the world around us, and like have bought into this idea that it affects us, or is it actually a thing? Because I'm also open to everything we know as we see it and believe it is maybe not, you know, what we think it is. And we've kind of touched on that before too. And I think keeping an open mind about that is
hit on some psychedelics
to some extent. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, who knows? Maybe it's even simpler than that, and we're just like really not picking up on something fundamental.
I mean, if I'm having a shit day, I'll look up and see if Mercury's in retrograde so I can blame it on something other than my own lack of productivity, for sure.
Well, and that's the thing too, whereas like there is that want to like blame things and use something as a scapegoat, which is just inherently human, and it feels fucking good. I do it like anybody else, and I try and keep it under control, but it's like an inherently human thing.
I think the most important thing for me is that like there's benefit in thinking retrospectively, but you have to understand that everything in your life, the outcomes, if you get to the point where you truly believe the outcomes are out of your control, it's just a bad place to be. You know, you have to feel like you are, at least in a majority sense, driving the direction in which your life is going, right? And using these other things as tools to help better your life is great, is actually ideal, because it's all in service of doing better and being more productive and being a better person and being a better family member and being better to those around you. And I fully believe in that. And on that note, I think we should return to music. So, Luke, you were talking about how with Gvngaroo Records, you're going to start releasing all of your music. How many tunes you got stacked up? Do you have some music done, or what's your...
I mean, you know, done is always relative, because you let it sit around long enough and you learn some new tricks and your ear gets trained better, and, you know, you're like, oh, that thing that was done 3 months ago that's still not out because it's not, you know, I hadn't put it out yet. Now I'm going to go do another touch-up. So, I mean, you know, it's done when it's out. But yes, my collab with Chauncey is done. We turned it into a contest that accepted unreleased stuff. So we just sent him a SoundCloud private link. Really digging that song. I've got a song that is that I did as a, you know, so it's sort of a collab with Porch. We made all these sounds together, and technically, like, I made the song out of the sounds by myself, but like we recorded all of the sounds, like, like 95% of the sounds that are in the song together in his studio. So it's like clearly a collab, you know, it's like loops of both of us playing shit. And, you know, so a collab with Porch, though, that is most of the way done, that I'm going to release as soon as the sample pack that all those sounds are made of, it gets released in the producer DJ marketplace at the dojo. But I'm kind of just like, because I keep learning and getting better at engineering and shit and getting better at, you know, with my ear all the time. I've got it to this like 98% done spot. And there's like a couple of things I already know I want to nudge about it, you know, just like, oh, turn up that and turn down that or whatever. But like, I'm just kind of waiting on that until I know when the release date for the pack is going to be. So then I can go in and do the final tweaks and drop it in distribution and set the release date.
So that's what you said is like kind of exactly the point that I wanted to circle to, which is it's done when it's released, right?
Amen.
In today's climate where we're all at home, we all feel like there's no real like urgency to like play that song for people in public, or they're like no one's sitting there like with bated breath waiting for any one person's song for the most part. I mean, right? But like one of the things that I realized, so I had a gig in Columbus, Ohio last weekend. Shout out if you were there at Otherworld for that ridiculous little piece of history that was very fun. I realized, so the 2 weeks prior to that event, I was finishing music like a madman so I could play it and have new music that was actually done, sounded good, that I could play, right? And when I was there, it was me and Il Gates that played the show, and I was talking with him about, like, if nothing else, this gig got me to finish a bunch of new music, and he agreed. He felt the same way, and we kind of realized that, like, without having gigs to play music at, there really is no hard deadline to get your music done and out to people. And that really is, I think, an under talked about or under thought about piece of this pandemic is that a lot of people are sitting on 90% songs because there's no like, oh, I need to get this done. A lot of my favorite artists, you look on Spotify, they haven't released a single song in 2020. Not one. You're like, what the fuck? They have 6-7 releases every year, and 2020 0. Like, what is going on? And I think that is a huge piece of that, is if you don't have an outlet, you don't have this external pressure to finish stuff, it makes it really hard to take that last 10% and really get it done. Because that last 10%, I tried, dude, it was a good reminder of both how hard and how time consuming and how you do need like a hard deadline to actually finish that shit. Because sometimes that last 10%, that last 5%, that last 2% on a song can take a whole day, can take multiple days, can take a whole day working on it, and then 3-4 other days of you making tweaks and listening to it in your car and continuing to finish it.
Yes.
If you don't have that deadline, that shit's not getting done. You're just like, oh, it's there. Like, I'll finish that last 2% a month from now. And so realizing that, I think that realizing that is a pitfall for a lot of people right now, trying to force yourself to have a deadline that even if there's no external factor that you need to have it done for, you need to make that for yourself, because otherwise it's going to sit.
That's why Spiderhound really, preaches. I mean, there's so many good lessons from Spiderhound. Good God. Like, we keep bringing them up. Oh, that one thing Spiderhound said, which is a completely different thing from all the other things we keep bringing up. That's that one amazing thing Spiderhound says, is to put yourself on a release schedule. Like, build up at least 6 songs that you feel good about releasing, and then drop the first one. And now, like, whatever it is, a month from now, 2 weeks from now, somewhere in between, whatever, like, you've got to release the next one. So you better start writing some more so you don't run out in your queue. And you better keep finishing shit. So you better start more so that you can finish more, so that you can release more. And, like, he's been releasing on schedule for what, like 2 straight years now. And, his numbers keep growing, and, he's building a fan base that knows to check for him and knows that, every month they're going to get some new Spiderhound tunes. And that's a really good idea. And I think it, tell me if this makes sense to you, Evan, like with, the way all that you've been learning about advertising your music, it probably works a lot better if you can keep hitting people on a pretty regular schedule with those new tunes, so that they stay kind of like hot in the algorithm for you, right?
Yeah. I mean, the CEO of Spotify himself said, if you want to do Spotify well, you got to release consistently,
Man, fuck that good.
Man, what do you guys think about the new update?
I hate him. Wait, what new update?
Or new proposed feature, which is you will be more likely to appear in playlists and stuff if you take a smaller cut of revenue.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's fun.
Not implemented yet, but in the talks currently. or if not planned already.
I don't like any part of that. I don't like any part of that because the end result is a race to the bottom on that, because you're incentivizing the wrong thing. That's short-sighted.
And I've also been hearing, like, I mean, I haven't heard from the man himself, but apparently Joe Rogan isn't too happy with his deal anymore either because of certain censorship type issues. So I wonder how this is going to pan out for, you know, not only us, but Spotify and the whole industry in general, because they've kind of shaped, or streaming at least has kind of shaped, you know, where things are at currently. And for people that aren't on Apple, I mean, shit, I guess there's Deezer, and I don't want to shit on some of the smaller ones. Maybe I'm just not hip yet, but, you know, to me, it kind of seems like it's Spotify, Apple Music, and then Deezer is kind of that, like, third party that has notable enough share.
Tidal feels fucking disrespected right now.
They should.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing where it's like the conversation, at least from what I've been hearing so long, is like, how to promote to get traffic to Spotify, how to this for Spotify. It's always about like growing the Spotify numbers, it seems. So if they go under because of these bad moves now, or artists stop fucking with them as much, I wonder what's going to happen. Is SoundCloud going to take the reins now? Are we going to actually clue in and go to Tidal where they're actually paying artists decently?
I'm thinking about going to Tidal. They pay better,
that's the move.
And they credit better. Like you can like look at like, oh, who engineered this record? And it's most likely going to be there on Tidal. And then you can like click and see who else they engineered. I haven't been on there, but from all my people's on Tidal, they're like, oh yeah, dude, like if you want to know who did what on a record, go to Tidal.
Good to know.
I like all that.
I
like all that too.
And it's musician owned.
That's like Spotify just has too much market share. It's like 85% in like, if you're looking at people's like play counts and stuff, like Apple Music gets some because people happen to choose that instead of Spotify. The Spotify interface is still far superior. Yes, Spotify is not the best in terms of paying artists. Most streaming services taken as a whole are not that great, but at least Spotify has the user base and the algorithmic playlists that do democratize the experience in a way for people to be able to get their music heard by tens of thousands of people when they don't know a single person in the industry, right? So there is definitely. It's like when Facebook took over MySpace. If you were like, well, MySpace has this feature and therefore it should be better, like it didn't matter because Facebook took over and then all the users were on it, right? So it's like you kind of have to like roll with the time. And I think Spotify is still a long way from screwing the pooch so hard that they lose all of their user base.
I think we're looking at it like, you're right though, we're looking at it like, oh, they're going to piss off the musicians. Well, they've been pissing off musicians and none of us have left.
It's true.
Except for T Sweezy. Big shouts to Taylor. Fucking being like, nope, you just got to go buy my shit.
Taylor Swift?
The only person.
She's off it?
I don't know if she still is, but there was a period there where she was just like, no, I'm just not going to put my shit on streaming. And if you want my new album, you just got to go purchase it.
No.
And so many people bought it that it's like, man, but that's the thing. You buy a song for $1, right? Or say $1.29 because it's Taylor Swift. And the Taylor Swift gets $1 out of that. That one purchase is equivalent to probably thousands of plays or whatever, you know, like on streaming. So it's like, okay, yeah, thousands of less people listened, but my money was the same. Or a bigger fraction of people listened and my money was way larger. So it's like, you start to think about that, like, is it more important to have more reach to more people, or is it more important to get, You know, and people got to find that balance for themselves. Like some folks are like, nah, I'm just going to put my shit out on Bandcamp, and the people that give a fuck can pay me $10, and the people that don't give a fuck wouldn't have anyways, and that's fine.
The issue is that you have to have a very large fan base before you make that move to even have a chance of that working. And even so, it's probably still not going to work. Taylor Swift still has all of her music on Spotify. I don't know if it's all of it, but like almost all of it. Tool, one of the greatest rock bands of all time, who was doing that thing, who has a cult following to rival everyone else that's trying to do this move. Yeah. And they finally were just like, okay, we'll put our stuff on Spotify. If those guys are going to give up and put their shit on Spotify, you think any of us other people have a chance?
Was it up to Tool or up to the record labels though?
I don't know.
Because that's an interesting thing when you consider how much leverage these record labels
let me put
have.
it for you this way.
And I just want to throw that out though.
Young Jamie.
Tool fans want to listen to fucking Tool. There's no one else that sounds like Tool. If you want to listen to Tool, you got to listen to Tool. Everyone else that is like, I love Tool, that has a Spotify account, isn't going to buy Tool's music just so they can listen to Tool on an average basis. So if you want 95% of the people that could listen to your music to listen to it, you have to put your stuff on Spotify. There's just no other choice. Like you're gonna, even Tool, who could viably make that work, did not. There's so many people that are like, oh my God, yes, Tool's music is finally on Spotify. Now I can listen to it. It's not like those people like Tool any less or more. It's just that now they have access to their music and they're going to stream it. And Tool's going to get the revenue from those people to stream their music. For a long time, I really wanted to feel like streaming was like the worst possible thing that could happen to music. Oh my God. The concept of the user saying, I value music so little that I want all of it at my fingertips all the time for $10 a month. I don't care. That seems ludicrous, right? But in a day and age where musicians were about to make $0 with piracy, and you can still go on MP3 Clan and download anyone's music.
We do not condone the piracy of music on the Human Music Podcast.
Fucking listen. You have Spotify. Just listen to it on Spotify. If you're going to DJ it, go to Beatport. You don't want some shady ass shit off MP3 Clan. That being said, people are still going to do that, right? So we were in a race to making $0, and streaming at least was like, okay, here's a way to make money. So that is a plus. In an era where I started making music when Beatport was huge, and if you had a Beatport top 10 record, you were making tens of $1,000s a week from that record. And to think going from that to what we have now, terrible. Absolutely terrible. But in the grand scheme of things, it is our best alternative. And especially since the data shows people on average, the average music consumer would spend about an album's worth of money per year on music, right? So the average person would buy one new album a year and add that to their repertoire and listen back through all their albums, yada, yada, yada. That's what, $15? Now people are spending $120 a year on a Spotify subscription, plus they're finding new artists that they like, establishing a more niche taste, and they're going to buy that artist's merch and go see them live because they were so invested in finding an artist that truly represented them. The total spend from a consumer on music today is far greater than it was before piracy. That's the only stat that you need. Like the total spend of people merch, going to see shows, paying for streaming services far exceeds what people were spending before on their one album and the one artist that they knew about in their tiny little world and spent money on. Now they can actually find you, Tesco, or you, Luke Rain, or me, and go, oh my God, this guy's actually doing something that I never would have known that showed up in my Discover Weekly, and I like them. And yes, they're not making it big from tens of thousands of album sales, but at least they're getting a slice of the pie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to play it smart as an artist nowadays, and see your music as that initial door to the experience that is your brand, let's call it, or your project, or you as a person, right?
I mean,
depending on what you're choosing to express. Right. And that's the thing too. If you're still posting, you know, I mean, if it's off brand for you to be posting pictures of nugs and stupid shit, like, you're always a brand. Even if you don't want to be, that's just the way we live nowadays. We live in this like attention economy, and everything is sort of treated as its reputation or what it looks like. And so keeping that in mind is very important, as a person, and more importantly, as an artist. You know, if you're trying to get something bigger across to people and get people really invested, it's more about the overall experience, right? And if you write a song where you mention or hint at some sort of theme, like, there's a lot of opportunity here to like expand on that and create stuff for your core fan base that like moves these inside jokes along. And maybe it's some random joke that got started in your little niche community about trees, and you do a little tree figurine, and that ends up being like, you know, something that gets people really stoked because it's an insider thing. It could be anything. The main idea is like getting people in with the music is the first step of that process. But now you want to have some sort of visual experience to that, or community experience to that, or something more that actually like gets people thinking about you every day, and not just when, you know, they're scrolling through their playlist. And maybe you actually see a lot of artists who like, people listen to their music, but they might have come up through something else, and you sort of notice that as that something else, whether it's like
Degrassi.
God, how many people have we seen just with like stupid antics of like who can be more ignorant and do the dumber shit, and like you see how that clout chasing war sort of spins out of control. And then if people know you for that, they're not going to fuck with your music. Same thing, like if you're known as a shit disturber in the scene, or whatever rep you pick up, for better or worse, is like what people are going to associate you as once they get through that stage with the music.
Amen. I've been thinking about this in a similar way for a hot minute now, and you know, partly because it's realistic, and partly just to, you know, feel better about how little streaming pays. It's like, okay, cool, yeah, Napster happened, music got devalued overall, like the actual, it's no longer like the kind of commodity it used to be, where you had to go to this store and you had to pay this many dollars, and there was nowhere else to get this because it came on this physical thing that you had to go get and then keep. And now it's just like, oh, it's fucking ones and zeros. It flies through the air. You can get music fucking anywhere. You know, you want to pay $10 a month for all of it? Awesome. You want to get it all for free and be a pirate? Awesome. It's all right there, right? So we've got to just shift how we think about music. It's no longer the product. You are the product. You are what you're selling. The, like you said, Tesco, the experience of you, your brand. It's the sound. It's the look. It's the inside jokes in the community. It's what the community calls itself. You know, are you the Beehive? Are you the Barbs? Are you the, you know, whoever? You know, people got the tribe, you know, and it's all a part of what you're selling. And the music, like you said, can often be that first stop. But there's a lot of first stops, and music is one of them. It is basically advertising content that people who connect with it will want to go watch again and again, or listen to again and again. And that's powerful. Like normally your Coca-Cola, you make an ad, you spend, you know, $1 million on an ad, and then you air that shit on the Super Bowl, and you can like keep airing it for like a month, and then people are tired of that ad, and then it goes away forever. And then you got to spend another $1 million to make a new ad. and you hope people go buy Coca-Cola, but for us it's like, oh man, you know, I spent the money to make this music, now it's part of my catalog. If people like the shit, they will keep coming back to it and listen to it over and over again, and then that'll remind them that they love my music and the way that it makes them feel and the way they feel connected to a community because of it. And then they show up at the show to see their people, be with the people, and dance and feel that way and see the person that made them feel that way. And then they want to go home with a reminder. So they want the shirt or the cool sunglasses with your name on it or whatever the hell. They want that piece of merch. And maybe you are selling some vinyl or a cassette tape to be kitschy and like,
they want to tweet at you after and show you that they got it and all get of a sudden, stoked if you reply.
And now this person has spent like $100 on you, and you got 9 cents for how many songs they listen to on Spotify. Cha-ching.
The biggest thing for me is that guys like us feasibly didn't have a chance before in the pre-digital age. Like, to get a record deal that would get your CD in a store in which someone might look at it in an alternative electronic section of Fred Meyer and go, I don't know who this person is, but I like their album artwork, so I'm going to buy their CD and see if I'm a fan of this person. That's infinitesimally small. Mm-hmm. But now someone can get recommended our music in their Discover Weekly playlist and find us and go, oh my God, I do love this guy, and spend that $100 that you previously had no access to. And if nothing else, thinking of it from that sense gives me peace of mind that the system is actually not as broken as we would like to think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's more money nowadays than before, actually, for artists. It's just that bell curve is taller and the ends of it are skinnier, and you really have to fight to get to the top. But if you do, shit, if you're that artist that's raking in 50 million, 100 million, 500 million, a billion streams, you're eating good. So it's like, depends how far along. If you're making, 1K streams a month, you ain't gonna see shit. Yeah. But actually, I think just last bit on that, in the book, Everything You Need to Know About the Music Industry by Donald Passman, I think I brought it up maybe 2-3 episodes ago. Yeah, he talks about there's actually a bit over.
Nobody can see that, Rip Kenny.
Technically.
You gotta say words.
Hey, look at the book on my screen. It was on the one that he was talking about. It exists right here. Check it out.
Yeah, get it.
It's so yellow.
It covers.
It's super tight, man.
3 pages of it, but it's on my desk.
It's super tight. It goes into a lot of detail on sort of how money flows through the industry, how everything's broken down, where it comes from, how to build a team, all that great stuff. And yeah, if you run the numbers, there's, just a bit over double per listener nowadays, roughly. And it just, depends how far up that feeding chain you are and how many people you got that are, taking a bit out of your pocket and all that kind of stuff. So it just comes down to playing it smart and just realizing like you might be more on the business or creative side, probably the latter if you're here. But, knowing both of those is what's going to move you to that next level. And it's, it's not awesome that everybody doesn't know, but it's awesome for you that not everybody doesn't know the business side and that not everybody knows the visual side or whatever that, other part of the experiences that you want to add. So anything you can do to one up yourself and get your finances right and start treating this as an actual business, it's actually much easier to get it off the ground and make it sustainable than you'd imagine if you actually educate yourself on, how this money works to build your business.
More people nowadays, by a large margin, are making a full-time income from their music than any other time in history. Essentially the middle class of the music industry has become a real thing. It used to be a full gatekeep 1%ers club, and now you actually can be a mid-tier guy, make music that you love personally, and make a living.
Yeah,
there's beauty in that.
We got this idea fed to us about like the millionaire rock star, but people have always been getting screwed by the music industry. Like, and just like Tesco said, because most people just have no idea about the business. Even that lucky 1% that got in the door, only 1% of them maybe were really actually winning because they maybe got a good lawyer and a good manager and like educated themselves and knew what to refuse and knew where their power was. But, you know, the other thing is, like, think about what you're making right now by going to a job you don't like doing. Is it 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 a year? If you could make that from music, would you feel like a success? I know I would. I know I would definitely feel successful making a living off of music so I could just do this all the time. And then once you're doing it all the time, you can grow your business. And you can focus on it more because 40 hours a week aren't sold to somebody else to keep the lights on in the studio. So redefine success.
And how money works. Like, you're not taught how money works. And if you look at, you know, how people that are in this game are treating their money and where it's going to, you'll notice definitely very, you know, strongly correlated trends between specific money habits and where somebody is in their career. And, you know, goes without saying, like, maximize your assets and minimize your liabilities, because that's what's pulling money out of your pocket every week. And when you think about it too, like, if your job is paying you 20 an hour or whatever, like 30% of that is just off the top for taxes and stuff, right? If you want to get smart with your money, start treating everything as, like, see every number as 30% higher, because that's how much it's actually costing you, or that's how much you're actually working for that. Like, just because you worked an hour for $20 and bought that $20 thing, no, you actually worked like a bit over an hour, because after tax it's like 16, so that cuts into your next hour.
$6, bitch.
Yeah. So, you know, versus thinking like, how can I put in this amount of money and it's going to bring me $1 every day back, or it's going to bring me one new fan every day that maybe in 2 years I could give that fan and all these other fans I've accumulated a experience they would gladly pay hundred, if not hundreds, thousands for, you know? And so be smart with your money, learn about what you can use as a tax write-off, learn about, you know, when's time to register yourself, like, make sure the music's there and all that stuff. But if you're actively spending money on like education and promotion, and especially if you're earning anything back, you know, all that gear and shit you're buying, like, learn how to make that money work for you. Because if you can get that invested into your business, it's going to make your life that much more, your dream life that much more feasible. It stops becoming this like crazy reality all the boomers said it was crazy and would never work. And you're like, oh, yeah, no, when I run my shit like a business, there's actually like stuff in place to help me like make this a possibility.
I want to touch on a few things you just said that are gems that I want to just make sure people pick up. You mentioned the word investment, and you mentioned the words asset and liability. These are very important words. The flip side of the coin there with asset and liability, the biggest asset and the biggest liability are the same thing flipped over. And that's your knowledge and education about how your business and industry actually function, how money flows in your industry. You can't make money if you don't know where it comes from or how to get it. No matter how good your music is, you know, there's billions of dollars in that music black box of unclaimed royalties from all over the world. There's, you know, and for you right now, listener, it might be $5 total. It might be $0 total, but it's your money. And the more you do, the more you're missing out on, unless you got your business right. So that investment you got to make is in the education, whether it's educating yourself how to make a good enough song, a good enough product that it's worth people listening to, and then how to, you know, invest in good marketing so that people actually hear it, and then invest in ways to nurture and retain fans so that you can get to the place where you have people that want to give you real amounts of money back for your investment. Educate yourself how to get all of the money, educate yourself on who can help you get that money. All of that is how to build a business. And, you don't see people just going into other industries not having any idea how they get their paycheck,
Yeah.
Just fucking bust ass at Walmart all day and then be like, oh, well, I didn't give them my direct deposit info. I'm doing this for the love.
Maybe I'll get paid. Maybe I won't. Yeah.
Maybe someday.
I think one thing that popped into my head while you were talking as well that's important for the listeners at home to note is that if you're just getting going in production a couple years in, or even just you opened up Ableton yesterday for the first time, all of this is going to sound like an extremely uphill battle. And you might be asking yourself, holy shit, is it even worth it? I would like to present that in this light, which is, it is more worth it now than any other time ever, because I can give you a lightweight guarantee that if you learn the skill of how to make really, really good music, you're not just crossing your fingers and giving your USB stick to the record label executive and hoping he's in a good mood when he listens to it and signs you for that deal that might end up you getting shelved anyways. If you learn the skill of making really great, undeniable music in today's day and age, you have a real shot to put in the effort that it takes to get it to people that care about it and get your name out there and actually make a real fan base from what you more on an average percentage basis. More than ever, you have the power to actually make it work. Because for myself personally, I know that if I was just starting out listening to us talk about all this shit about the ins and outs of how hard it is to make the money from the thing that you just spent all this time to learn, I would be a bit intimidated. For sure. And, I want to make it very clear that it is more worth it now than ever. The grandiose dream of the $1 million rock star still exists, although nowadays people are more realistic about it, and that dream is more achievable in a actually you could sustain yourself not on a rock star living, but on a regular living, probably similar to what you're doing now, and you're going to be doing something that you love. So if you're passionate about it, don't let all this mumbo jumbo about how to get your money scare you away.
Man, there's also, just one thing real quick. Yeah, go for it.
Real quick. If this does scare you out of music, be grateful, because this shit is not easy and it's not hard. It's easier than it's ever been to get noticed as a musician, and it's still not easy. And if you hear us saying all this shit about how hard and ridiculous it can be, and you're like, man, shut up, guys. I'm never going to stop making music for my whole life. Good. You belong right where you're at. Keep pushing. Keep climbing uphill. It's an uphill battle. But if you're like, oh, yeah, I thought I was going to slide in and make a quick buck and then be out and invest all my money in tech. Nah, probably not. You should probably just go skip this middleman, go straight to tech, and play with Ableton on the weekends, because fucking A.
Yeah. Man, yeah, 100% agree. Yeah, I'm sure everybody here can agree. We've all suffered for this at times, and it's been more than worth it. But suffering tastes delicious. That's where all the growth comes from. One thing I wanted to say too was 401ks were created in 1978. We are yet to see the full effect of what that will mean for many people that have invested in them for the last 50-ish years. So is the safe bet an actual safe bet, or are you fucking yourself because you don't want to think a little extra harder? And that's cool if you don't want the stress of having to care about where money's coming in and all of that stuff in your life. And if you want to make some trade-off for between work and pleasure, I think it just takes knowing yourself and having that level of self-awareness to choose for yourself. But if you're scared because it's risky or this and that, there's no guaranteed support system for you at the end of all this anyway. So
Invest in yourself. That's the most secure investment you could ever make.
Preach.
That'll never change.
Preach, man. I mean, you can always take the safe route, go get a job at Enron and put all your money in their pension. Oh, wait, what happened? Was that 12 years ago? Just gone? Rip Kenny. Yeah, I know you got something to say.
No, I was gonna say that's a perfect bow. I mean, I was just having this conversation last night, which is the dream that all right, we might go off the rails here, but we're gonna give the full explanation. The dream that most people are sold is work your entire life so that all of the things that you ever wanted to do with all of the time that you could ever want to do them will be possible when you retire. And people always say, I'm going to work really fucking hard now so I can retire early and I'll be able to take that trip and I'll be able to do that thing and I'll be able to have all the time to pursue that passion that I care about. That shit's a fallacy. By the time you get to 65, if it is 65, when you get to retire from your day job that you hated doing, who knows if your pension is going to be there? Who knows if you're going to be physically fit to do those things that you wanted to do? Who knows if you'll even have the fucking gumption to get out of your house and do it when you're that age? We have been brought up in a world that has placed artificial value in things that have no real derivative meaning to you as a human being. The human experience taken on the whole, being put on this planet for God knows why, with sentience, to think and feel and act for ourselves, and to use that for someone else's gains so that you think that at 65, you'll be able to do whatever you want, is a fucking fallacy. And it makes me sick to think that so many people believe in that dream, in air quotes, that you will waste your entire existence for reasons we do not know why we exist. You will waste that entire existence on this planet for a dream that someone sells you to defer your enjoyment until you're too old to enjoy it. It is fucked up.
Yeah, and what also makes you think you can just switch on immediately? Like you're just going to retire and go enjoy life? Like you're just going to stop all that momentum from the last 40, 50 years that was eating at your soul and dragging you to do the shit you don't want? You're just going to go from that to your happy, fullest self and you're going to go explore the world? I don't know, man.
No. So what you should do is invest your time and energy and things that you do care about, that create intrinsic value for yourself. Creating music. At the end of the day, when you have created a song that you like, how much enjoyment does that bring you on like a deep spiritual level? So much. You have created something into the world that is beautiful and that you love. Fuck what anyone else thinks. You have created something into the world from nothing that you love. That is a beautiful slice of humanity that you have created for yourself. That is the type of skill you should be invested in being able to give yourself. And something specifically like music production, if you invest in the skills to make music that you like, you can do that until you are too old to think or feel or move a mouse. The people that live the longest are like the 90-year-old guy that's still at the engineering firm that knows every fucking thing there is to know because he didn't retire. He's just like, I want to keep my mind busy. And everyone's like, holy fuck, you're so old. How do you even come to work every day still? And he's like, because I keep my mind active.
Yeah.
That is what you should be investing in a way for you to truly enjoy the human experience of your everyday in a way that's going to keep your mind active, because in all likelihood, if you do a job you hate until you're 65, you're going to be burnt out. And at 65, you're going to sit at home and watch the news and fearmonger all day and annoy your kids and your grandkids and coast into the casket. That is sad. Do not do that. Please.
Please.
Coast into the casket. Rip Kenny's next single.
That was very poetic.
Bro, that was fucking gangster, man. I was just like listening to that and I'm like blinking like, oh right, I'm not watching YouTube yet. That's next week that I get to watch this on YouTube and be like, damn, Rip Kenny's dropping bars, man.
Man,
so
I think yeah.
Anybody that tells you, no, don't do that, play it safe, you know, you'll get to retire later, just tell them, hey, it's all good. Peace among worlds.
Hey.
Peace among worlds, humans. Do things you love.
Do things you love. In the words of Digital Underground, do what you like.
I like it.
What's up, humans? It's Luke, your friendly neighborhood trap Jesus. Thanks so much for watching the podcast, checking out our videos. We truly appreciate you. So, Rip Kenny, Tesco, and myself got you a gift. We made you a free sample pack. It's got basses, it's got FX, it's got crazy percussion and Foley sounds, and it's free. It's all yours. Just click the link in the description below. Also, make sure to hit that subscribe, hit that like button, and share this with your friends. We appreciate you. Peace out and peace among worlds.